Bye. My kid just left. Three people here already. So, who all's here? I have kids just outside. I can't tell if they're talking to me, if they're talking to each other. Eric, how are you, sir? Eric Ivy. What's up, Ken? I am already at 600 grit on this. I want to get this sent off. I know I told the guy that I would work on it piecemeal, and that's how I locked in the price on it for him. Yeah, it's called Steel Hat. Got it at a gun show. There was a vendor from Cold Steel, not like a, not just some guy that was selling knives. They had an actual table. It was a Cold Steel table at a gun show, and I can't remember where. It might have been Vegas. I don't remember. But I grabbed a couple knives that day and a hat. I got the hat. It was a gift. You do a video about knife steels and your take on the differences. Well, I can, but I would prefer to do... What's up, James? Your knife is going to get ground this week. I have not been up to the shop yet because you can see I got swamped with this stuff. So I have to... I basically have three businesses. I have my Aflac insurance business. I have my knife making, but then there's this, which is the knife sharpening. From Switzerland. I have someone from Switzerland now. Taking that trip to Disneyland kind of got me swamped. I had stuff waiting when I came back, and even though I told this guy I'd work on it when I had a chance, and that's how I kept the price low for him, I've done that for customers whose knives were horribly bad, and I knew that it was going to be prohibitively expensive as long as they were willing to pay me up front, which is not typical of the way I do business, but in this case, pay me up front. We lock that price in. When I get done with the knife, I'll ship them to you. So he had this one and a Ultimate Hunter, I believe. You know what I love about Switzerland? Everyone has a gun in their house, and there's very little crime. That should say something. That should say something. Europe for the win, but no ammo. Well, there's that. So Charles is here. So this, I'm gonna try and, like I did yesterday, and try and keep on top of the questions that you guys ask. So that they don't sealed up and used in case of war. That's what I should be. I should be sealed up and broke out only in case of war. Get that big angry motherfucker. Let him out of that glass cage. Send him. If anybody can tell me kind of where that came from. Well, I'm doing it right now. This is the technique. The stone and the blade are both in motion. And that's how I get that convex. If the stones belly out a little bit, to tell you the truth, the convex gets more pronounced. I just flatten the stones, so I have to make the mental movements with my hands. But if the stones start to belly out, you get the convex naturally. But on a Tonto like this, I don't want such a pronounced convex. So just the secondary, yeah, because this is a hollow. I just got an email about my daughter's audition for the Performing Arts Academy. I may have to take care of that here shortly. Just the secondary bevel is a convex. I do that on the edge to do a small convex. I take off a good bit of material. I am working on a cold steel Recon 1 Tonto. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. Who was that said that they tried that? Well, Mr. Anderson, I'm not gonna lie to you. It took years before I was able to do it. T. Willie, what's up? How are you, sir? Let me see who else. 17 people. We got more people on here than we get on my Instagram feeds. So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I'm trying to, if I'm going to do an Instagram. Sorry about that. There was pause. Super Mario, what would you say the best stone for sharpening is? Depends on the steel. If this was something significantly harder, I would not want to be using these stones because I would tear them up. It 100% depends on the stones. These Chaucera stones are great, but they don't always work real well for super high carbide steels. Super high carbide steels, I should say. It just depends. It depends on what you're. You got your McGinnis at the border. Jesus Christ. I'm going to Canada, right? So, how do I do my convex? What are you saying? Somebody said something. That was Super Mario. The convex, I did a whole video on it. The convex is done because I just ever so slightly rotate the blade between strokes and the stone as well. And so as the stone is traveling, you wind up rounding, you wind up your first few strokes set several different angles, and then that movement rolls them into each other, so you wind up with a compound edge that turns into a convex. And they hold an edge. I personally think they hold an edge better. Some people would disagree with me. Some people are not a fan of convex edges because you can't just throw it on a Spyderco Sharpmaker and touch it up. You could, if you wanted to, you could do it on a Spyderco Sharpmaker and just set a micro bevel to touch it up. But you know, people, I have a couple people that got upset when they got their knives and then realized that they could not resharpen them the way they had wanted to. And I specifically tell people, don't ask me what angle I sharpen it at. You know, I can't tell you what edge I sharpen it or what angle I'm sharpening it at. It's somewhere between 20 and 30 inclusive, somewhere in there. Oh, that's horrible. I mean, you could do it that way, but do my stones stay in the water all the time? Who asked that? Let me refer to your question. A-Ray, do my stones stay in the water all the time? These ones do not. You do not want to leave Chaucera, Naniwa, any of those resin-bound stones. You don't want to leave them in water all the time. My other stones can, and sometimes do, stay in the water for an extended period of time. But these ones do not, because they just come apart. So, depends on the stone. Like these ones for my Edge Pro, I left them in a pail of water. I came back, they were still in water from before I left for Disneyland. I was gone for 4 days. If I had done that with these Chaucera stones, the resin-bound stones, I would have had to buy a new stone. It just would have come apart. I left them over a couple days one time and didn't realize it. I didn't think about it. It was when I first started using this style stone. And I left them for a couple days and ruined a couple stones. Who's got him another question? I was going with my first plan. So saving up going to buy Ferrum Forge Scepter at Blade HQ. Do they still have scepters at Blade HQ? No. I find that surprising that there would be any of those still at Blade HQ. Well, not so much that I'm so surprised. Of the designs that they've made, the scepter was not one of the ones that I would buy. And I've had people like, "Oh, you're just a Ferrum Forge fanboy. You can say that anything that they make is amazing." And I tell people, I was like, "No, if I think there's an issue with it," I told Elliot, I was like, "There's problems with the scepter. The sharpening notch isn't deep enough. It's not big enough. You know, you can get down into it with a sharpening stone. If Josh Bender ever wants to regale the story of what he did to his, you can do that pretty easily." Is it still an option with Ferrum Forge? Yes. Maker's Choice currently is still an option with Ferrum Forge. On that last run of Scepters, or on that last run of Stinger XLs, if you didn't get one, you're not getting one now. The first 10 are basically put out there for people to pre-order, and then if you don't get in on that first 10, you're not getting one. You're not getting a Maker's Choice unless you buy it on the secondary market. Their knives from now on are going to be done in a little different fashion. They've kind of said they're going to do smaller runs of like 25. It'll be a lot more highly customized. They're going to be more expensive, but that's going to allow them to get back to what they want to do and enjoy making knives, as opposed to killing themselves trying to get a run of 200 knives done and out the door. So I love those guys. Those guys are amazing. I'm going up there tomorrow afternoon. There might be a live feed from Ferrum Forge tomorrow. I've got to grind. I've got some knives to grind. So any of you guys that had ordered one of my neck knives, what do you think of the Cold Steel Recon 1? This is the Recon 1 in CTSX HP, and I put a sharpening notch in it, and I just resharpened it and I like their XHP. Similar steels to XHP, you know, I don't know. I don't really personally like the XHP. Cold Steel's XHP is good. Spyderco's is horrible. I had issues with Cold Steel's XHP, or I mean the Spyderco's XHP on every one of them that I ever owned, and I've gotten rid of all of them. So for those of you that are wondering what I'm doing, I'm just making sure I've knocked the burr off of this completely on this leather strop block with a little bit of chromium oxide, just to make sure that there's another trick that you can use for that. Cork. Run that knife through a cork. Make sure that you've got that burr removed if there was any of it left. So now I took this. You see that angle? Now, a lot of people can maintain that angle, but if you were to look from the top, which you really can't, that angle is the same on both sides. I did that freehand. I eyeballed it, and I don't count strokes. All right, Ray, you take it easy. That's the thing that throws people off. I tell them I don't count strokes when I sharpen. Like, well, how do you? I just know. I just know, and I'm not trying to brag it up and make it sound like I do anything mystical to the steel. I've done it enough now that I have gotten an instinctual feeling for when it's time to flip from side to side. And if I didn't have that right, that angle wouldn't be the same. I'm gonna get some pictures of that and put it up on Instagram. And since this guy's an outdoor kind of guy, military guy, this one's only going to 1 micron on the strops. Your eyes to deceive you. Your force eyes deceive you. Christopher Varner said hello. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I just scrolled back through it. Hello, Christopher. That edge is where I want it. It's a line. Notch is cut in. I did a sharpening notch as well on his Ultimate Hunter. That up. It's sharp. So the thing is, getting it sharp all the way to the point is critical. Well, it depends on the customer. It depends on the customer. I have had customers that wanted me to take that point and just round it over, more like a traditional Tonto. Sorry guys, you have to ask the customer what they want. Even if you round that edge over, you still have that thickening there that allows it to have that piercing point. So you would still have the same cutting potential from it if you did round it over. But a lot of times people want that because for what this knife was designed for, more like a military, a snap cut is more effective with that secondary point right there. So there we go, guys. Air hardened high chrome. It's yeah, it's basically it's a higher end version. XHP is like a powdered metallurgy version of 440C. I wouldn't sharpen a throwing star. No, I wasn't going to monetize those videos anyways. All that is Nico. So Nico said, hey, sorry about all the copyright claims. The copyright claims aren't a big deal. I've got several videos that have copyright claims. I just don't get any revenue from them. I can't put ads in them. YouTube, however, does put ads in them. I just don't get any of the revenue. So what it was the music from the shows and the music on the rides is it's all copyrighted, and so it I would disagree. ZDP 189, from what I've seen, is a much better steel than XHP. It will hold an edge forever if you can get a good edge on it. So 70-4 has more of a traditional Tanto. That's more of a traditional Tanto, and looks like you could sharpen it like any other knife to the belly, and you're absolutely right. You roll that over. I did the same thing for one of Nico's knives here not too long ago. It had the point, and it was just basically going to, that knife would have been better without it. So I'm just about done here. I'm gonna get off of here, guys. I just wanted to get this videoed up and done, and talk to a couple of you guys, and wanted to throw out another thank you. Yes, your K2 will probably be much better without it. So yeah, there we go. I'll get some pictures of it put up on Instagram. I have a couple other things that I have to do before I can do anything else. I may do an actual YouTube video today. I'm not sure. But you guys take it easy, and I will see you next time.